It's a rare victory Monday. Then again, they're starting to pile up for the Miami Dolphins. We got a lot to talk about. Has the season and everything changed for the Miami Dolphins, given what's happened the last couple weeks? We will discuss that. Plus, oh man, we're going to have fun this week with my Jabroni of the week. Oh boy, it's going to be a good one. Whoo-wee, I can't wait to get to that one. But we got a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. The Miami Dolphins lose another cornerback at a position they just can't catch a break on. So we got a lot to discuss. We got a lot to talk about. Do me the favor, smash the like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Let's get into this.
Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown again! Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. And we are back here for another one. I appreciate each and every one of you coming through for today's show. And round of applause, the Dolphins won again. Oh my God. Round of applause, the Dolphins won again. Everyone. Woo. Oh man. Now, we got a lot to talk about here, okay? We got a lot to talk about. So let's before we hop into everything, I do want to shout out today's sponsor, and that, of course, is Sleeper. Listen, if you jazz hands, that's hilarious. If you think you know football, try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that turns game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose two or more of your favorite players from pregame or live while the game's happening. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code Phinside right now, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Plus, if you use code Phinside right now, you'll get a free $20 deposited from Sleeper. No deposit on your end required. All right? Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for detail, but go take advantage of that promotion because you could use it towards Monday Night Football tonight. So shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video. All right. We got a few things to talk. Oh, man, we going in today. Oh my God, we going in today. Okay, first things first. And I mean, you know, we are going at a I'm sorry, man. All you people who wanted Michael Penix Jr. and wanted Shedeur Sanders, and even worse, if you wanted both of those guys, this opening segment is not going to be the segment for you. All right, let me first get that out of the way. All right, so. First things first, Michael Penix headed to injured reserve after aggravating a bone bruise and knee sprain from earlier this season. Ian Rappaport reported that right after lunchtime. Apparently, there's also been damage to his ACL, and it means he is done for the year. He is getting full reconstructive surgery. Man, so Kirk Cousins is now up in Atlanta, and take the injury out of the equation here. Do you remember all the people banging the and remember, I was a Michael Penix guy. Remember, you go back and look at receipts, I was actually a Michael Penix guy. But, you know, and before the draft, okay, during the season when he was at Washington. And even I was like, man, you do not draft this guy with a top 20 pick. And all these people that were banging the table for us to draft Michael Penix, He has looked downright awful. Injury aside, Michael Penix has not been good this year at all, in my opinion. He just has not looked good. Kirk Cousins didn't look much better when he came in against us. So let me be the first to tell you that. But really, I mean, even the Patriots game, right? Okay, well, he threw for 3 touchdowns reason. Yeah, but he had a completion percentage under 60%. I mean, even in the games where he does do a little bit, it's like, woof. And then you look at when he got blown out by Carolina 30-0, had a 50% completion percentage, thrown no touchdowns and 2 picks. I mean, I'm sorry, man. He has looked very, very mediocre this year. And all of you people who wanted us to draft Michael Penix, good God, thank God you don't have a chance to get in the office and make selections for this team. Whew. He has not looked good, man. He has not looked good at all. He has had some real rough goes. I thought the New England game was probably his best game of the year, but the completion percentage was under 60. All right. I mean, you go look at what happened against Indianapolis. I mean, what do you have? A completion percentage of like 42.9? Something like crazy like that? Man, he is. And Atlanta giving all that money to Kirk Cousins and then drafting Michael Penix. Oh, what a terrible decision by that franchise, biting them in the ass right now. All right, let's go to the AFC East. If you have not seen it, what do I think of? Listen, let me highlight that because I'll get back to that in a second. Don't worry. All right, I see your comment, so I'm going to highlight that comment, all right? Justin Fields, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Fields has been benched. Tyrod Taylor is now the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Doesn't come off like a team that's tanking to me. Tyrod can actually probably win you some games here. You know, I don't think you were winning much more with Justin Fields. And the Jets, they have the 5th overall pick right now. I don't know if that's I get New Orleans benching Rattler to see what they have in Tyler Shuck. That makes total sense because you just drafted the guy. But benching Justin Fields when he's putting you on the path to the number 1 overall pick, I don't think that's a very smart move by the Jets at all. But hey, the Jets are going to jet. So what else can you say? Right? What's funny is Atlanta, if Kirk Cousins keeps losing, man, the Rams, because they have Atlanta's pick this year, they're going to be in a position to potentially get a quarterback, the successor to Matthew Stafford. That is very, very, very interesting stuff if you will look at the LA Rams situation with their pick. So, listen, benching Justin Fields, why are you trying to win in New York right now? Because Tyrod could actually probably get you some wins. I'll tell you right now, I fear Tyrod more when we play him than I would Justin Fields. That wouldn't even be a discussion for me. Now, the game yesterday, let's talk about a few things. Number 1, all of you who called and were quick to call Kenneth Grant a bust, you owe that kid an apology with what he's looked like over the last 4 or 5 games. He was consistently winning with swim over moves, consistently getting right out of his stance and penetrating the pocket right away. Kenneth Grant was really, really good yesterday when you watched the film. You guys didn't learn from Chop last year. I don't know what to tell you guys. You guys are getting out way too ahead. Kenneth Grant looks like he's going to be a damn good football player. Especially by year 3. Look out for that kid. All right? Jonah Savaiinaea. Now, he rightfully deserved more criticism because I didn't think Kenneth Grant was bad at all. I thought, there were downright reps where Jonah Savaiinaea was terrible. Jonah Savaiinaea looks, these last 2 or 3 weeks, He's gone from a liability. He's holding his own. And I told you guys why they were sticking through the peaks and valleys of him in pass pro was because of the flashes and what you see in run sets, and he continues to be dominant I don't want to say overall dominant, but he continues to flash and have dominant, flash reps in run pro, but he's getting in run sets, but he's getting better in pass pro as the weeks go by. Jonah Savaiinaea is getting more and more comfortable. You can see it. And I'll tell you one thing. When James Daniels and Austin Jackson are back, yeah, Jackson ain't that great in pass pro. He's better than Borum. Neither one are really good. But you'll allow you to slide some help towards Jonah Savaiinaea. He's only going to get better. So, I got Jonah Savaiinaea the last 2 or 3 weeks, specifically 2 weeks, he's been far less of a liability than he had been. It looks like he's getting comfortable. And Kenneth Grant, ladies and gentlemen, he is coming on. Kenneth Grant is coming on. All right, let's talk some draft stuff. I was asked in the chat, what do I think of Duke quarterback Darian Mensah? I'm actually quite high on Darian Mensah. I'm quite intrigued by Darian Mensah. I'm not going to lie to you. He's having a damn good season at Duke right now. 25 touchdowns. I think like 5 picks. He's already thrown for, I believe, over 3,000 yards. He's had a good season. The problem is he's 0-3 against ranked teams, right? He was good against Illinois. I thought he was actually good against Illinois. I thought he was good against Georgia Tech. Didn't think he was that great against University of Virginia. But listen, Mensah, put him in a guy in the third-ish round roll the dice. I am down on Darian Mensah in the middle rounds. 110%. I like. Now, I see people talking about Drew Aller. I am out on Drew Aller. I've been out on Drew Aller. I was high on Nussmeier coming into this year. I've now since gone out on Nussmeier. But I'll say this. I'd rather draft Nussmeier over Aller. So, I'm not a fan of Drew Aller. You look at that guy as a definite. If you have issues with Tua in big moments, I can only imagine the issues you'd have with Drew Aller if you watched him in big moments. All right. I'm gonna tell you right now. Oh, that was. You're right, Kevin. You're right. That was nasty. I'm gonna tell you this, and you're right, Topher. DTs, that's one of the hardest positions to develop at in the NFL. That's on my short list of time. It's not like a pass rusher where I can put you in known pass rush situation, tell you to pin years back, and you can go light up the stat sheet. When you've seen it. How many doubles has Kenneth Grant taken on to open up lanes for linebackers, for Zach Sealer, et cetera, et cetera? All right? Let me put it this way. You can quantify a lot of positions on defense with their success by reading the box score easier than you can a defensive tackle. And Topher, listen, I'm going to do it. Topher, I know you've been here. Raise your hand if you were in the chat and you remember me telling each and every single one of you heading into that draft with Jalen Carter, what did I say? What did I say? I said I would trade Christian Wilkins and our first round pick to move up and get Jalen Carter. I was consistent. People thought I was nuts. People thought I was crazy. And all I can sit here and say to you is,
man, I'm tired of being right.
All right? I know people remember me saying, package Christian Wilkins and a first round pick and go up and go get Jalen Carter. People thought I was nuts. Not so nuts anymore, am I? Whew. Oh my God. That's it, eh? You know, people always want to stick to the Tua stuff. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, the Tua evaluation, was I wrong? He was your first Pro Bowl quarterback in 30 years. He led the league in passing. The reason why we're seeing the regression this year is on the player not putting in the work with Perform and 3D QB. So my evaluation on Tua was right. Y'all got a starting quarterback out of it. You saw a franchise quarterback level of play. That's why everyone's so much more frustrated with the season of Tua, because you're like, yo, this guy's healthy. How are you playing like this? 2022, 2023, 2024, we were all in agreement that Tua is healthy. We're winning 10 games. Tua is healthy this year, and he hasn't looked any, and you can see it. If you watch the film, mechanically, it's in the footwork. You know, you can see the issues pop up. A lot of it's mechanical, and a lot of it comes from not putting in the proper work in the offseason. And I've been saying this all year. But everyone wants to talk about, you know, the Tua evaluation. They don't want to talk about the fact that Reason and the guy you all watch right here called Devon Achane almost a year before we drafted him. And he's our best player. He's the best player on our team right now. No one wants to talk about that. All the Shedeur Sanders people are real quiet while your boy over here was pumping up Jackson Dart, arguing with people on X that Dart was the better prospect. Shedeur, hold on, let me do the Hogan. Shedeur crowd real silent while Jackson Dart looks like the only dynamic quarterback in this class. And I was saying last August, draft this kid. Last August, 15 months ago, I was saying draft this kid. One more time.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Speaking, and I did. I called Holland a year before we got him, 110%. And Holland was phenomenal until he left his knees at MetLife on Black Friday. Listen, I can only evaluate the players. I'm not here to play injury predictor. It's like all the people that take victory laps on Tua. Well, I told you guys the injuries. No. Y'all told us the hip injury would be. Y'all never warned us that concussions would be Tua's issue. Y'all said the hip injury would be. And the hip injury was not what's held Tua back. It's the concussions. So anyways, whatever. Speaking of Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry, I got it. Oh my God, I have to. I'm sorry, I have to. I'm doing it. I'm sorry, I'm doing it. And y'all can be bitter. Y'all can be mad. Y'all can hate me. I don't give a rat's you know what. All right. Dolphin Knight says, what's your thoughts on Ty Sapp? Maybe third round. I actually haven't dove into a lot of Ty Sapp yet. I've only dug into a few edges. And trust me, I'm going to be diving deep because I guarantee you one of my big boards is going to be edges. But I've only watched like TJ Parker, Keldrick Falk, Ruben Bain. I'm really high on David Bailey out of Texas Tech. I've watched him. I've watched Mateo Ugalele. But that's about where it's gone. I haven't done a deep dive on edges yet. I've only watched like a handful of edges right now, Night. So yeah, I've watched basically the whole quarterback class already. I've actually surprisingly watched a lot of the wide receiver class because I think, think about that. If we're at what, pick 11 right now? Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, Chris Bell. There's some good receivers, Carnell Tate specifically, but there's some good receivers. Another one, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. If we are sitting between 11 and 15, I know I've talked about him briefly. Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. I mean, all of you that wanted Tyler Warren, I don't know how you're not going to bang the table for Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq is a better athlete than Tyler Warren is. He's much more dangerous after the catch. He's a great pass catcher, and he loves blocking. And, I mean, Kenyon Sadiq is kind of like a little bit of a freak. He just is. Kenyon Sadiq is like a freak. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I am down, baby. Especially if we're going quarterback next year. You go get Dante Moore and pair him with this guy. But, I mean, Kenyon Sadiq, 6'3". He's 255. He has a vertical of 41 and a half inches. He can power clean 365 pounds. And he can bench press 435. Kenyon Sadiq is a specimen. All right. So let's get into this though. Sorry, we got to backtrack here. I'm sorry. I got to do it to y'all. All of you that were pounding the table for Shedeur Sanders. Oh my Lord. I want you, because I said it back then, it was a bad idea. And I'm saying it again. The jabroni of the week is those who wanted the Miami Dolphins to draft Shedeur Sanders. I mean, there were people who wanted us to take Shedeur Sanders in the first round. There were people who wanted us to take Shedeur at 13. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? This man, who saw this man yesterday? Oh my God. I went back and I watched the game last night. Specifically, I watched all of Shedeur Sanders' reps. 4 of 16 and an interception. Sacked twice. Remember, I told y'all his pocket presence is not as good. Not good at all. People thought because he was playing against lesser competition and could escape and be elusive here and there, that somehow he was this like crazy pocket manager. These people wanted us to draft Shedeur Sanders. They wanted us to bring in that distraction for that play. And can I be honest with you? People who sit there and say all these people make excuses for Tua. Have you seen the excuses for Shedeur Sanders? Have you seen the excuses for Shedeur Sanders? Oh, well, he was working with the scout team. Oh, well, he didn't get any first team reps. So you think Shedeur Sanders was the first rookie quarterback to debut coming off the bench? All of you are the same people who pound the table for Justin Herbert. Remind me what Justin Herbert did when Tyrod got a needle in the heart. And he was working with the scout team and the second team, the second team and third team offense all week. What did he do in his first debut? Holy Jesus. And the reason why a lot of these people are the jabroni of the week is because they're the same people that hate Tua. But they're real quiet right now when Shedeur Sanders had that performance, real quiet. Well, I was the one saying, no, Jackson Dart is the guy, not this guy. So, all you Shedeur people, what do I hear right now? What do I hear right now? Oh, yeah, that's right. This is what I hear right now from Shedeur. Crickets. Nothing but crickets. So y'all definitely earned that one. Y'all definitely earned that jabroni of the week. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. All right? Y'all earned that. Shedeur Sanders, man. Now, do I still think he's going to be better in the long run than Dillon Gabriel? Yeah. But I mean, right now, Dillon Gabriel is clearly far ahead of him. He's reading the field better. You saw yesterday why they had given Dillon Gabriel the nod. It's looking like the Cleveland Browns are going to draft another quarterback. That's what it looks like. They're going to draft another quarterback. That's what it's looking like. Neither one of those guys are going to stick. Cleveland's drafting what? Third? What? Third? I think they're picking third right now. You know? So, I don't know. I just thank God we didn't get that mess. We didn't take that on. I'd rather see what Quinn Ewers has. All right. Oh my God. Ball game. Are you really coming in here with that excuse? You know I'm gonna go in on you on that. I already addressed this, bro. Bro, come on. All right, ball game. Come on. Don't feed that narrative. Remind me what Justin Herbert did. Justin Herbert came out after Tyrod took a needle to the heart, bro. Right before the game. He had no reps. He didn't even know he was starting. And what did he do? What did Herbert go out there and do in game 1? So, come on now. Let's not make excuses. And I actually think Shedeur could be better than Dalen Gabriel. I thought he got drafted too low, so I'm not but let's be real here. Let's be real here. We've got plenty of examples of guys in rookie seasons coming off the bench with no reps from that week, and they weren't that bad. 4 of 16. Come on, man. Let's not make excuses here. That's all I'm gonna say. Just saying. All right? Just saying. There were people that wanted us to take Shedeur Sanders in the first. And ball game, you know who some of these people are. There were people who wanted us to take him in the first round. Because this is what you learn. What did Tom Brady always say, right? Tom Brady said, if you're a backup, it's all about mental reps. You got to be doing the mental reps. You got to be putting in the mental work, right? 90% of that position is all up here. And I mean, you saw it. He just couldn't process. He just couldn't read the defense. Because the one thing is, when you are playing with the scout teams and when you are playing with the second team offense, you are going against usually the number one defense. So you are getting a feel for the speed of what the defense is going to be coming at you with. You do get a feel against the ones on defense a little bit when you work with the scout team, right? So, you know, I'm just saying, it's clear he didn't translate that into how he was reading on game day. So, I mean, it just looked like the game was too fast. He looked overwhelmed. He looked like he wasn't. It just looked like a backup quarterback. So, you know, I'm just saying. I mean, all these people are not in the business of cutting excuse, and I'm not saying you, but all these people who wanted Shedeur Sanders in the first round are all in the business of not cutting excuses for Tua Tagovailoa, but they're the first people who are out here either being quiet, not saying a peep, acting like they never said that they wanted to take him in the first round, or they're making excuses. So I'm just saying, all these people out here, hypocrites, you know? And the game just looked like it was too fast for him, man. And he's been seeing number one defense in practice, so he should have had at least a barometer of what to expect, in my opinion. But, I mean, hey. All right. Let's talk about this. Has everything changed for the Miami Dolphins this season? All right. I think this is a real conversation to have right now. You look at the first 8 weeks, 1-7. We knew change was coming. Reports were coming out. Change is imminent. It ended up being Chris Greer. We thought it would all be Mike McDaniel. It seemed like Mike McDaniel was coaching for his life. Tua, the play wasn't up to the standard we have seen from him and expect from him. especially in those first 4 weeks. Wasn't where it needed to be. The defense was an absolute letdown for what we all thought it would be. The defense we've seen in the last couple games is what we expected to see from the start of the season. But now look what's happened. I mean, we were picking in the top 4. Now look what's happened. They are no longer picking in the top 5. Today, the Miami Dolphins would be picking 11th. They find themselves at a major crossroads. You want to hear this? Check this one out. You want to talk about a crossroads? I got it. The Miami Dolphins are 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. You ready for this? The Miami Dolphins are also 2.5 games from the number 1 pick. You are 2.5 games from a playoff spot, and you are 2.5 games out of the first overall pick. And you got 6 games left. Seven. So this is, that is a crossroads. That is a freaking crossroads. Mike McDaniel, I said before the Bills game, I thought he was 80% safe. He looks like he's safe now. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit here. But it looks like he might be safe now. The Dolphins are 2-0 since they fired Chris Grier. And you got to ask yourself, people. You got to ask yourself, people. You got to sit here and listen. This is a great point right there, eh? Shout out to Dave. He ain't wrong. Listen. I think Chris Grier deserves some credit for this turnaround. No, hey, don't shoot me. Let me dodge all the bullets and the tomatoes coming my way right now. Jack Jones. Look at how good he's turned out to be. Rasul Douglas, when he's healthy, how good has he been? Guys, it looked like we fleeced the Steelers. Shout out to Ramsey and Jamar Chase getting in a spitting match yesterday. But we got the best player. Minka looks great this year. Minka looks fantastic. We won that trade. Anyone trying to tell you we lost that trade, we won that trade. Chris Grier, especially some moves he made in the secondary with not much available to him, they're working. Like, they're actually working. I'll always take the playoffs. I will always take playoff football over the number 1 pick. Always. 7 days a week, twice on Sundays. Darren Waller, when he was added, before he got hurt, looked fantastic. Picked up Greg Dulcich. How good? Greg Dulcich looks like everything they wanted Julian Hill to be. Larry Borum and Cole Strange have become more serviceable than what Eichenberg was. Now, James Daniels is hurt. Ollie Gordon, drafted him, traded up for him. Y'all love him. Extending Jalen Waddle for the money he did. Looks great right now. Kenneth Grant really starting to come on. Looks like he's going to be a big hit. Chris Grier deserves some more credit, but everything is changing, and now you are at a crossroads. You are 2.5 games out of the first overall pick, and you're 2.5 games out of the playoffs. You are literally smack dab in the middle with 7 weeks to go and 6 games in those 7 weeks. And that one fact can change everything about this season because you are at a crossroads. Do you go all in for the playoff push? Do you go all in for the pick? And clearly they're going all in for the playoff push. Now, we did get some bad news today. Juju Brents is slated for season-ending foot surgery. So he'll be 100% in 2026, but we have now lost Juju Brents for the year. Dirty work here from Ian Rappaport to say a former second rounder with the Colts finding his foot in Miami and then saying is slated for season-ending foot surgery. Oh, I love the play on words, Ian. But Juju Brents, his season is over. You got something there, though. I mean, you got to bring him back for the cheap. Because if he stays healthy, you got that length, that athleticism. Remember, for all of you who've been watching me, Juju Brents, he made my man crush list for that year, right? So I'm a big Juju Brents guy. He made my man crush list from that year. If you go back and you check that. Verified. The receipts are on X. The receipts are on YouTube. Go take your pick. But when he came in that 2023 draft, he was on my man crush list. Love what that kid has to offer. Just needs to stay healthy. But Juju Brents, he looks, and I agree with you, ball game. Dulcich does deserve more reps, 110%. But Juju Brents, man, listen. All right? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. I had a conversation with someone about this earlier, yesterday, okay? If you're picking between 11 to 15, which is where we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to broaden and open your horizon. You can't be locked in. It's not like you're the top 5 pick and you can lock in on one position and one player. You can't. So there's some, like, you got to be, like, I really like Francis Moigoa. You got to be open to taking a guy like Francis Moigoa. You know, if they're going to go edge, right? Keldrick Falk, maybe a David Bailey's there. It makes sense. Now, I'll say this, and this is where I'm going with this. I'm very open in that range from 11 to 15 to cornerback. Mansour Delaney. I really like Jermod McCoy. Now, I know he missed a lot of time this year because of an injury, but listen, the tape is so good. So good that, okay, I get it. Like, I like Avian Terrell, but I like Jermod McCoy better. You know? I like Jermod McCoy better. I think he's, man, so my whole point is, you should bring back Rasul Douglas. You should bring back Juju Brents. You should bring back Jack Jones, and you can add a young stallion into your stable of corners. I think that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. I really, really do. I mean, Mansour Delaney or Jermod McCoy, I mean, I'm down. You know, I'm down for edge. I'm down for Francis Moigoa because I think Fano will be off the board by the time we pick now. You know? So, we'll see. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to warn you, especially if they start to win more games, you got to be more open. You can't be locked in on one position. You just can't. So now, one position I can tell you don't bother with is I don't think, even though he might be one of the best players in the draft, I don't think they're about to draft Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame. You know? But I'm open to Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end. I'm open to a Jermod McCoy or Mansour Delaney, a corner. I'm open to a David Bailey or a Keldrick Falk, an edge. I'm open to Francis Moigoa. Open for business, baby. I think Jordan Tyson will be off the board. So I think the next two receivers that'll come off are probably Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. I could see them going in. I could see Carnell Tate going in the teens. I really could. You know, I think Mekhi Lemon has a very high ceiling. You know, Mekhi can play in the slot or on the outside. I mean, if McDaniel's here, that's a perfect guy for him. But you look at Carnell Tate. Remember, I was telling y'all, if they take a quarterback and Tet's off the board, you got to go with Emeka Egbuka. And look how good Emeka Egbuka is right now. I think Carnell Tate is cut from that same cloth. I think he's got very sure hands. And I think, again, like Emeka Egbuka was last year, I think Carnell Tate is arguably the best route runner in this class. I think Jordan Tyson, who's my wide receiver 1, he'll be gone in the top 10. But Carnell Tate, man. And we need a receiver. Tyreek's going to be gone. You need another receiver. This is what I'm saying. You got to be open. We need an edge because Chubb might not be here. And after Chubb, what do you got next to Chubb? Right? We need another receiver. Tyreek's going to be gone. We need another offensive lineman. I don't think they're going to take a Vega Ione, the guard from Penn State, who I think is the best guard in the draft, unless if you kick Caden Proctor in the guard. Okay, I get that. And I think he's a better guard. But, you know, Francis Moigoa makes sense. You know, there's so many routes you could go when you're now in the 11 to 20 range, and we have needs that are going to be clearly obvious that you just got to broaden your horizon. Right? You just got to broaden your horizon. That's just what I'll tell everyone here. Just broaden your horizon a little bit. Now, I want to go over some stuff that Barry Jackson said in his article. All right. There's a few points from his unpopular view on the state of the Dolphins. Now, remember, I've always been in the, you know, I told you guys, yeah, I would love the number 1 overall pick, but I can't watch losing football the rest of the way. I just can't. I've been pretty consistent with this, that I want to see this team win. I just can't watch a loser. I sat through the 1-15 season. I DVR'd half those games and watched them after it can't. And I want to bring up this article from Barry Jackson because he says some interesting stuff here. So this is some of his notes and thoughts and takeaways. So he says this was exasperating at times, puzzling at others, but Miami ultimately accomplished 2 things that, at least in our view, would be ideal to achieve over the coming weeks. 1, win. Stay relevant and remain at least on the fringes of wild card contention. 2, give the young players significant steps so they can be evaluated. Before you take issue with number 1, I know what you're going to say. You're going to tell me that this team won't win anything with Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa, and the franchise needs to fail spectacularly the remainder of the season in order to convince Stephen Ross to make wholesale changes. I see the rationale behind that thinking, but I don't look at it that way. Here's why. 1, why would anyone assume that the Dolphins would, and this is a damn good point, why would anyone assume that the Dolphins would pick the right executive and coach to turn this into a Super Bowl contender? They never have under this ownership. That's not to say they should unquestionably stick with the coach and quarterback. It's simply a warning not to assume that their departure ensures bright days ahead. Houston blew it up and sits at 4-5 after a long rebuild. And he's right. Stephen Ross has given all of you guys and gals no hope, no faith that he can put the right football minds in charge. He's right. I mean, he's not lying. Might another rebuild tank be the way to go, perhaps? But I'm not ready to say that yet in a league where teams can make quick turnarounds. I'm also not ready to lose games in a draft without a surefire franchise quarterback. Do we know if there will be any great difference picking between 11th and 7th? And I've kind of said this, right? I've said it seems like more going back, Sellers going back. you know, you got to hit on Simpson or you got to hit on Mendoza, and even they don't blow you away like a surefire bet Burrow coming out or an Andrew Luck or whatever the case may be. I've said this. You know, I actually would have probably Ty Simpson ahead of Mendoza. I know people are in love with Mendoza's size, but Ty Simpson's a better athlete. I think he's got better footwork. I think just mechanically, I think he's phenomenal. I think Ty Simpson mechanically is very, very advanced. You know, I think they're both pro ready almost. And I think you could make arguments with mechanics that Simpson might be more pro ready right now. And also, for all of you who don't like Tua throwing bad picks, Mendoza throws a lot of bad picks that puts Indiana in bad positions. And then he has to get it together and put together a game-winning drive because he threw a bad pick. That's been a pretty consistent theme with Mendoza. 2, the Dolphins could go on a win streak here. Fall flat on their face against Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, and New England and still make wholesale changes. So many of you rooting for November, December, January tanks still might get your wish. But as long as there's a chance to salvage a season, why root for failure? 3, the NFL is the entertainment industry. And the longer a team stays on the cusp of playoff contention, the better. When your team hasn't won a playoff game in 25 years, you can't think in terms of blowing it up to build a Super Bowl contender. And that's a good point. You need to take solace in smaller things, such as single wins and remaining on the fringe of wild card contention, even as sad as that may sound. Another positive of Sunday, in our view, is the Dolphins should have a strong evaluation on all of their young players by the end of the season. Instead of using journeyman Matt Butler, Miami is giving significant snaps to its young defensive tackles in Grant, Phillips, and Biggers. And the results have been positive at times, less so at others. Grant had a stop for no gain on 3rd and 1, and Biggers continues to show flashes, though Washington ran for 172 yards on 5.2 per carry. Miami must know whether it has 3 defensive tackles who can be projected for heavy usage roles next season. Playing them is the only way to determine that. The Dolphins are getting a good read on all their young defensive backs. Juju, Brents, Jason Marshall, Dante Trader, Ethan Bonner. They're getting a firm read on what Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright, Malik Washington, and Jonah Savaiinaea can do. All of that information and game tape from the young players is critical to determine off-season plans. And I agree. Listen, I agree with him. Yeah, every point he made is pretty strong. You know, I mean, this team can still, listen, if you want to be worried about that win yesterday, that it maybe made the Buffalo win look like a fluke or an anomaly, and that you're afraid that the Jets and the Saints might be anomalies too because they're really bad teams and don't buy in, I get it. 110%. To be honest with you, I won't be fully bought in until they get back to 7-7. If they get to 6-7, they go on prime time, they go into Pittsburgh, which might be potentially bad weather, and they handle business. Okay, I'm in a little bit more. Now I'm in. Now you're back to 500, and you win out the rest of the way. You might control your own destiny. I mean, that's what it's going to take for me to even dip a toe back in the pool right now. 6-7, beating the Commanders, beating the Saints, beating the Jets. Those should be givens. Those aren't accomplishments. So I'm not dipping my toes back into that hopium pool until this team is 7-7. You want to, because you know what? Do you see what Pittsburgh did yesterday? Listen, I know Pittsburgh's been up and down. I get it. I know Pittsburgh's been up and down, but they beat Cincinnati 34-12 yesterday. They handled a team who doesn't have their starting quarterback the way they should have. The Washington Commanders didn't have their starting quarterback, and quite frankly, we didn't handle them the way we should have. Now, I did warn everyone all week, whether it was the preview show, whether it was my show with Neil Driscoll, whether it was the show I did before Fin Too Deep, when I put up the news on screen for you guys. I thought Dan Quinn taking over defensive play calling duties would be a shot in the arm for the defense, and it ended up being that. And let's be honest here, Mike McDaniel against Dan Quinn and his defense, he settled for a lot more field goals than he scored touchdowns, which to me, even more reason to kick the field goal with 1:44 left. You don't have a lot of touchdown success against Dan Quinn. Yeah, you might have been 13 for 13 on your on all your goal to go situations in recent memory, but not against Dan Quinn. You got to adapt. So, yeah, but great points by Barry Jackson, and he makes a lot of sense. We're getting a lot of valuable tape and a lot of valuable reps with the young cats. The only one we won't be able to see is Quinn Ewers, and that's because of Tua. Now, I do wish we could see some Quinn Ewers. I mean, I think if the last two games, Tampa and New England, if the playoffs are out of the question, start Quinn, see what you got. You got to see what you got in Quinn. There's another thing. I thought Quinn Ewers looked better when he came in when Tua got benched this year than Shedeur did. Shedeur didn't make no throw like that one Quinn Ewers, that deep toss Quinn Ewers made up the left side. That was unbelievable. So, yeah. Guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Almost 400 of you in the room. If you haven't had a chance to check out the PFF stats for this week, don't worry, I got you covered. We'll go over them real quick here. So, let's get into the PFF stats here. So, offensively, your top 5 graded players. Look at Larry Borum, Julian Hill, Devon Achane, Malik Washington, and Aaron Brewer. Brunskill, number 6. Your 5 worst: Alec Ingold, Cedric Wilson, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Jalen Wright, and Jonah Savaiinaea. Look at improvement. Jonah Savaiinaea is grading in the 50s instead of the 20s. If that is, I told you, he's not the liability he has been the couple weeks. So look at this guy. I love it. Look at this guy. All right, when you go in the passing, you look at Tua, 0 for 1, deep outside right. Perfect when targeting the intermediate level on every side yesterday. Short level, 4 of 9. Behind the line of scrimmage, 6 of 6. When he was kept clean, he was 12 of 18 for 151 yards. 2 drops. So his adjusted completion percentage when he kept clean is actually 77.8. But he did have a turnover-worthy play. When he was under pressure, he was 2 of 2. He was under pressure, 5 dropbacks, 2 of 2. His passer rating under pressure, 108.3. When he was kept clean, 92.6. His time to throw when he was kept clean yesterday, 1.81 seconds. Holy jeez. Under pressure, about 4.02. When you look at blocking, look at this. Jonah Savaiinaea didn't give up the most pressures. Cole Strange and Aaron Brewer gave up the most pressures. 2 from Brewer, 1 from Strange, 1 from Savaiinaea. Only 4 pressures from the Miami Dolphins. Love to see that. Top 5 graded players. Jack Jones at number 1. Jason Marshall at number 2, who's been really good since he came in, since last game. He's been really good the last 2 weeks, Jason Marshall. Chop Robinson, your 3rd highest graded defensive player. He had 2 pressures. Ifeatu Melifonwu, number 4. Ashtyn Davis, number 5. Your worst graded: Bradley Chubb, Tyrell Dotson, Dante Trader, Willie Gay, and Minka. I don't agree with the Minka. And then when you look at the coverage matchups, Jordan Brooks targeted 7 times, allowed 7 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Brooks, I know he had 20 tackles, but he had an off day. Minka Fitzpatrick targeted 6 times, allowed 4 receptions, 3 first downs, also a drop by Chris Moore. Jack Jones targeted 3 times, allowed 1 reception, had an interception. The 1 reception he allowed was to Debo, and it went for -3 yards. Ashton Davis targeted 3 times, allowed 2 receptions, 9 yards. Ashton Davis has been actually quietly good the last couple weeks, way better than he was in the beginning of the year. Ifeatu Melifonwu continues his strong play. He was targeted twice, allowed 2 receptions, but only gave up about 11 yards. Dante Trader targeted twice, allowed 1 reception for 13 yards. Tyrell Dodson targeted twice, allowed 1 reception for 6 yards. Jason Marshall targeted once, allowed 0 receptions, and he broke up the pass on Robbie Chosen. Bradley Chubb targeted 1 time with Debo, and Debo turned it into 28 yards. Juju targeted once, allowed 1 reception for 13 yards. And those are your coverage matchups. So there are your PFF grades. All right. Guys, do me the favor, smash the like button. I want you to go ahead and subscribe. If you are new, turn on that little bell so you're notified whenever we go live. Remember, Fin Too Deep is now on Tuesdays, so I'll be live tomorrow with Neil Driscoll. Wednesday, I will be live with Richmond and Mr. Ballgame. And then on Thursday, I got a video I've been teasing for like 2 weeks. I'm finally going to drop it. So a lot of content coming your way, even though we're on the bye. Content coming this next week I'm working on. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. I appreciate each and every one of you. Fins up. It's the bye week. Dolphins can't hurt us.